Welcome to the deck of the day in under 5 minutes, where I break down a deck in under 5 minutes. Today I'm going with the Electric Boogaloo, and I really don't know why I named this deck this, but I did it. So we have Xerath and Ziggs, and it's really all about landmark destruction. So we want to just destroy as many of our own landmarks as possible, deal a crap ton of damage to the opposing Nexus, and as you do it, just have an extremely strong mid-range presence and try to finish off the game well before turn 8 or turn 7. But if we have to, we do have Arsenal to back us up. This deck really is something I've been playing for a long time. I've been playing a ton of different landmark destruction decks using Talia, Ziggs, Xerath, Akshan, using a bunch of different champions in the two regions of Bandle City and Shurima. And it's just such a fun deck to play. It's just such a fun archetype to play where you have to really balance your board space as a really important resource. But the main inspiration for this deck right now is the fact that Xerath has recently received a solid buff. Obviously, we're not going to get to level 3 Xerath, ascending him all the way, but still the buff just to the base Xerath is really strong and valuable. So this deck is mostly self-explanatory when you look at it. We really want to use our landmarks to have pretty strong effects, but also to be very easily sacrificed, because we want to sacrifice them to be able to play things like the Desert Naturalist, Unleashed Energy, Rite of the Arcane, things like that. So we want to jam-pack this with as many landmarks as possible. That's why we're running 3 Rock Hopper, 3 Unraveled Earth, 3 Hex Explosive Minefields, 3 Inventive Chemist, 3 Bomber Twins. So we really want to just have a plethora of options here, and we want to have a really strong mid-range. So our turns 4 to 6, it is not surprising if you have massive units from the Endless Devout, and then he is summoning the 5/3 with Fearsome after he dies with his landmark. If you have one of those out, a Rock Bear with the Desert Naturalist, a Waste Walker that has grown to a 5/5, one of your champions, you can really just pressure, and your mid-range boards will be absolutely obnoxious with this deck, and it's extremely fun. Using Hexplosive Minefield with Burst Speed Explosion with the Unleashed Energy is really nice. You can blow out one of their blockers before you attack and get a +4/+2 on a key unit, but also just using it before you attack to use Rite of the Arcane to kill another blocker. That eliminates 2 blockers, and then you can just push through this massive damage. It's all really fun. And if the game does happen to go to turn 8, we always have the OG Arsenal. So this is the original Pantheon here, who comes down and has a ton of different keywords. Really, he's the new school Victor, but he's the OG Pantheon. Comes down and can just absolutely finish off games crazily, and he'll most likely have 6 to 10 different keywords by turn 8 because you've blown up that many of your own landmarks. So for mulligans, it's pretty simple. We're trying to push, we're trying to be a little bit aggressive, so we definitely want our 1-drop and our 2-drops. It's also really good to keep the Waste Walker, the Endless Devout, and if we have a nice curve, we can keep the Desert Naturalist for a big turn 4 swing where we get a 2/4 and a 5/4 on the board. That's really nice. The Explosive Minefields aren't something we typically want to keep, nor do we really want to keep any of our spells other than maybe Unraveled Earth if we have good units already. And both of our champions are just fine to keep as long as you have at least a 1 or 2 drop. You can keep either one of your champions to put pressure on. You don't need to level these guys up before you play them. They will gladly do some work before they level up. That's one of the cool things about this deck for sure. Other than that, really the strengths are, again, pushing out tons of damage against decks that really can't handle that much of a damage push. Even against control decks, you can get wide enough where you can blast through a ton of damage. So it's just a really well-rounded deck in terms of just aggro. It can just push through so much damage against different strategies. But it doesn't have any healing. It doesn't really have many elusive blockers, any way to really block anything like that. So you will lose some games to that. So if you can get outpushed, that can happen. And obviously some control decks can pop off and control the crap out of you throughout the mid-range. And that can hurt. But it is one of the decks that will push through more damage than I've seen in a long time, and is pretty resistant to a lot of board-wide removal because it has some high health units in there. Some flex spots for the deck in general. If you find yourself that you're going so fast you don't need the Arsenal, you can take that out, but I really do like having him as a backdrop. Maybe we only need one of. I think the other flex spots really are Unleashed Energy if you're not a fan of it, but it is a particular playstyle that I really enjoy. 1 Rite of Arcane, and probably the Waste Walker in general. A lot of people aren't a huge fan of the Waste Walker, but if you play him right, he's absolutely ridiculous. I hope you enjoyed this video. The deck code will be in the description below, so if you want to try the deck out, please take it for a spin. Hopefully this helped you play it better for the first few games. And if you liked the video, just leave a like, leave a comment, help us with this algorithm that we are trying to defeat, and we'll see you next time.